Let's start with the Arizona Cardinals this morning, shall we? Because even though a team that is 3-6 and flailing at the bottom of the division and just downright awful this year and is yet another example of getting your hopes up in Arizona sports just for a team to have you let them down. So yesterday, I back up even further. Forget yesterday. At about week 4, after the Arizona Cardinals lost to the Seattle Seahawks, I said you got to fire Drew Petzing. And the reason why I said that is because the offense continued to look anemic. The Cardinals season was quickly spiraling down the drain at 2-2. And if you were myself, you looked at that team and you said, oh, this team's going to have some issues. It's time to start evaluating that now and not later. One of the things I pride myself on, and I continue to tell you guys this, is I see around corners fairly often, and I think pretty well. And one of the reasons why I was so quick with the trigger finger of Drew Petzing, and I wasn't special to this, many of you said the same, was, well, I can see what's going to happen. This team is about to spiral down the drain fast. And spiral down the drain they did. They would go on to lose 3 more consecutive games against the Titans, Colts, Packers, and without even Kyler Murray, they still couldn't even figure it out. So although we like to blame Kyler for some stuff, me as well, it's obvious he wasn't every bit of the problem. And yesterday was really frustrating. Now, let me just say this. I don't care as someone. The reasoning why I don't go to a lot of press conferences, and I had a friend tell me this yesterday, or not yesterday, a couple of days ago for the Suns. I think I can share this. My guy Shane was like, hey, how come you don't go to the press conferences after games, after Suns games? I was like, well, 1, I have to do a show right after for Locked On Phoenix Suns. And 2, I just don't really care what people say in press conferences. I'm not a fan of asking a question that I think is very special to my niche or taking my opinion. I'm not interested in that. I don't want people to take my angle. And I ask that question, and oftentimes Gannon or Jordan Ott won't give me the answer I want. So why would I want to be in there? It's just a waste of my time. There's nothing Grayson Allen or Royce O'Neal or Devin Booker can say to change my angle on a show. And so this is what the problem is with the Arizona Cardinals, especially right now, especially for the media that is there every single day taking questions, comments, and concerns from Jonathan Gannon and Drew Petzing. They continuously just kind of run their mouth. They continuously just kind of talk. And most of the time, it's nothing. And yesterday was another clear example of that. You can get cute like Bruce Arians used to do in the press conferences and even curse at the media or literally tell them that you're lying to them right in front of them. You can get really cute with pressers if you're Bruce Arians or a head coach that is consistently winning. And no one cared. No one gave a damn what Bruce Arians said in press conferences. But when you're losing, and when you're losing in the way that the Arizona Cardinals are losing, it changes everything. And so when we can clearly see the regression in the offensive line, and the Arizona Cardinals and Drew Petzing as a whole tries to tell you that's not true, it's what changes my opinion from maybe the Cardinals shouldn't fire Drew Petzing to, yeah, get this guy the hell out of here. So at the beginning of the season, I was fired Drew Petzing. You got to spark this offense. I wasn't ready to say that it was all Kyler because Kyler had played really, really well in that Seattle Seahawks game in the second half. And I said maybe they could figure something out, but the play calling has got to go. And then, of course, Kyler gets hurt. Jacoby Brissett comes in, and the offense looks really functional for a couple of games. And then the Seattle Seahawks game came and went. Jacoby Brissett is handing the ball off to Bam Knight on the 1-yard line instead of sneaking it in. They're running reverses and jet sweeps on 3rd and 8 to Greg Dortch. And you finally say to yourself, okay, some of it might have been Kyler, but some of it is also Drew Petzing. And we've heard Kurt Warner, we've heard Jameel Douglas on our show, Locked On Cardinals Squad show. We've heard a lot of people who have played in the NFL. Marvin Harrison Sr., which I didn't agree with, but he came out and said the offense looks bad, anemic, predictable, and just not fun. And so, finally, I'm saying to myself, I think you do just have to move on from Drew Petzing. And part of it has to do because of what happened yesterday. You do not need to be an expert. And as I look down in the chat, Brian, Saul, both of these guys who are people who are probably have full-time jobs, very busy, enjoy watching sports, and they come to someone like myself to hear my opinion. And they can watch games and say to you, just at the bare minimum, the Arizona Cardinals offensive line is worse than it was last year. And that's not even getting into the nitty-gritty. Jonah Williams stinks. Evan Brown, Isaiah Adams have been not great projects at right guard. And you could say to yourself very clearly, oh, yeah, the Cardinals' offensive line is worse than it was last year. Well, not to Drew Petzing. Take a listen.
I wouldn't say that. I think they're playing hard. I think we've played some really good fronts. I think the communication has been good. I think at times, you're losing one-on-ones in critical situations, which is hurting us. And certainly we need to evaluate how and why that's happening and try to clean that up. But I think those guys play extremely hard. I think they play well together. I think they're doing everything they can to win games.
I don't know how you can listen to that and say to yourself, Drew Petzing should be back for another year. I don't know how you can sit there and listen to Drew Petzing try to tell you the offensive line is the same as it was last year. He's seen no drop-off and bring that guy back. You can win a lot of games and say whatever you want in press conferences. Bruce Arians going 11-5 or 10-6 or 1 year 13-3 could fart into the microphone during press conferences and no one would care. I had my guy, Mr. AZ Sports, mustache guy, does like a lot of the food stuff. He reached out to me one time because he didn't like my take, I believe, on press conferences. And we went back and forth on direct message, all respectful. Neither of us were mad at each other. But I think he leans more on the fan side. I'm a little bit more on the opinion side. And he told me he didn't like the way press conferences were run. And I had said to him, I don't care. Jonathan Gannon could fart into the microphone, say that I'm the starting quarterback. I don't care. If they're winning games, I don't care. I take nothing coaches say seriously at press conferences because they have everything to lose and nothing to gain from them. But you can't downright lie to fans, media members, and people like myself who are somewhere in the middle and expect us to believe that bull crap. And so here's the Cardinals offensive line Pro Football Focus rankings per Teo Mackey, who got these from Pro Football Focus. In 2024, the Cardinals were 4th in pass blocking and 14th in run blocking. In 2025, the Cardinals pass blocking is now 25th and the run blocking is now 27th. They virtually have no run game like they had in years past. And Jacoby Brissett or Kyler Murray cannot sit there and pick apart opposing defenses because one Mississippi couldn't even get to 2 Mississippi. They're gone. It's time for a change in the offensive coordinator position. At the beginning of the season, I called for Drew Petzing's job. At the beginning of the season, I called for Drew Petzing's job because the offense was anemic. I could see around corners and tell you this was only going to get worse, not better. And then Jacoby Brissett jumped into the fold. And you said to yourself, well, maybe we were a little bit hard on Drew Petzing. And a lot of it was just on Kyler. Now, I still think a lot of it is on Kyler, but a lot of it is also on Drew Petzing. The play calling against the Seattle Seahawks, handing the ball off to Bam Knight on the 1-yard line when you could have just quarterback sneaked it. Jet sweeps on 3rd and 8 to Greg Dortch. I'm over it. Thankfully for the Arizona Cardinals, Brian Daboll was just fired by the New York Giants. Brian Daboll should be the Cardinals' number 1 offensive coordinator choice as of right now. In his final year in Buffalo in 2021, they were 3rd in points scored and 5th in most yards accumulated during a game. He might not be a head coach. A lot of guys aren't. Cliff Kingsbury might not be a head coach. He's a good OC, apparently. Brian Daboll might just be more of a coordinator than he is a head coach. Maybe if he just focuses on one side of the ball, he could figure it out. Now, there's also a direct connection between those two. Monty Ossenfort and Brian Daboll have been on the same staff at the same time before. And Brian Daboll could help open up this offense. This offense is not that far away. Whether they go and draft a guy or they let Jacoby Brissett run the show, it's not that far away. Brian Daboll, according to my guy Jamil Douglas, he likes his tight ends. According to, and the Cardinals have a surplus of weapons. Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride. Who knows what they're going to find at the running back position next year, but that's one of the easiest things to find. You hand Brian Daboll this offense, I think it will get better immediately. Now, they've still got to fix things on the offensive line, whether that's drafting a right tackle with your first-round pick, maybe second-round pick, signing someone to that position. But I do think that the meat of the Cardinals' offense is there. And with a competent offensive coordinator, it can get fixed in an instant. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to go to Super Bowl contenders. They still need some sort of quarterback to be able to help them out to get there. But at the end of the day, this is what they need first. A rejuvenation at the offensive coordinator spot. And Drew Petzing is too timid. Drew Petzing's offenses are not creative enough. And you hand someone like Jacoby Brissett to Brian Daboll or a rookie quarterback, tall, big arm, strong kid, on time, accurate, nothing more, nothing less, with the weapons of Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, Michael Wilson. Running back spot, you draft someone very easy to fix. You have your left tackle. That is what could elevate the Arizona Cardinals offense. Now listen, this is the first guy fired. Maybe someone else becomes available and you go get them. And that would be interesting as well. And I think that could open up the Cardinals offense a ton. Here's the other one. This came out yesterday of The Athletic. This came out yesterday of The Athletic. Matt LaFleur. So, yeah, I want to make sure I have that. Yes, right here in my notes. Yesterday, from The Athletic, they reported Matt LaFleur could be coaching for his job the rest of the season. Which Packers take really quickly, which leads me to believe Jordan Love is not the problem, not Matt LaFleur. Oftentimes when people talk about the play calling a ton, it's like, maybe you don't have the right quarterback. That's what changed the Drew Petzing thing for a while. Oh, the play calling's terrible. Or Kyler Murray's just, trying to check it down every play. If Matt LaFleur became available to the Arizona Cardinals, you would have to fire Jonathan Gannon and bring Matt LaFleur into the fold. We mentioned on Monday, Jonathan Gannon is a good head coach. You can't convince me he's not a very solid head coach. But maybe that means he's a B- head coach in a division with a bunch of A+. Now, I don't know if Matt LaFleur is to the likes of Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay offensively, but I'll say this. He's an A head coach. And if he became available on the open market, that would change everything for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, would Michael Bidwell open up the checkbook for Matt LaFleur? I highly doubt it. A lot of this is just speaking in hyperbole and just pure thought speculation. But if Matt LaFleur became available to the NFL public, You fire Jonathan Gannon yesterday and you bring Matt LaFleur into the fold. Not because Jonathan Gannon is a bad head coach, but because Matt LaFleur would elevate this team to the likes of Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDonald and Sean McVay in this division. And in a division loaded with coaching talent, it's not a Jonathan Gannon thing. It's a Matt LaFleur is just better than you think. And then what better to do when you're what better thing to do when you're drafting your next quarterback, either this year or next year, to hand to Matt LaFleur, who's a creative play designer, who can scheme things open and make things easier on your quarterback, and that quarterback and Matt LaFleur can grow together for years to come. Similar to Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Zach Taylor, Joe Burrow, Sean McVay, Matt Stafford, Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh. Continuity matters. And having a coach on the same side of the ball as you matters. So again, it's not me going after Jonathan Gannon. He's built a great culture. The players like him. He got an A+ grade on the players report card last season. It's not a Jonathan Gannon stinks. It's a, is he good enough to compete in the NFC West? And if Matt LaFleur truly is on the hot seat and became available to the Arizona Cardinals, that would change everything. Would the Cardinals do it is a totally different question. Would Michael Bidwell open up the checkbook? Again, totally different question. The answer is just, or the question is just, should you go do it? And the answer is yes. For the future quarterback play, for the stability in the division coaching-wise against other A+ head coaches, and for a guy that you know has won games, been to the playoffs, won divisions before, he's good enough. And I would do it. It's not like Jonathan Gannon is, holding on to the Arizona Cardinals job with a monkey grip. He could be gone in an instant.